bank account or deny the challenges you face. It means you no longer identify with them. You recognize that your true power lies not in reacting to the evidence of the senses, but in standing in the feeling of already being the person you wish to become. Because in a strange paradoxical way, you only become that version of yourself when you stop trying to be them and instead live as them. The mind might say, but I don't have it yet. How can I act as if I do? And that is where you gently smile and say, I don't need to have it to be it. Because the outer form is always the echo of the inner state. And the inner state is entirely within your domain. It is the one thing in life that is always yours. You can be in a quiet room with nothing but your breath and still feel rich, still feel chosen, still feel like a vessel overflowing with life. When you begin to live from that place, the world doesn't ignore you, it responds to you. But it doesn't respond because you're demanding or manipulating or forcing. It responds because you are no longer in resistance. You've surrendered the identity of the seeker and stepped into the truth of the one who knows. This is not arrogance, this is not delusion. It is not about declaring I'm better or I'm above. It's about no longer agreeing to the smallness you were taught to believe in. It's about stepping outside of the story that says you are not enough. It's about shedding that skin and choosing to live in alignment with a deeper reality, one where your worth isn't conditional, your love isn't earned, and your joy isn't postponed. People often ask, well, what if it doesn't work? What if I act as if and nothing changes? But the very question reveals the misunderstanding. You don't act as if to get something. You act as if because you are something. The change is not a transaction. It's a transformation. You're not trying to manipulate the world. You're aligning yourself with the world you wish to see. You're tuning your inner frequency to the station of abundance, peace, love. Not because it guarantees a result, but because that's who you've chosen to be. This is the only freedom that matters. The freedom to choose your state, regardless of the shifting sands around you. It's not easy, because the world constantly tries to pull you back into old patterns of fear and doubt. But every time you choose to act from the knowing rather than the needing, you strengthen a new foundation. And that foundation begins to carry you even in the face of adversity. You may not see immediate results. That's okay. The fruit doesn't grow the moment you plant the seed. But something changes within you the moment you stop living as a reaction and start living as a decision. When you walk, speak, breathe from the place of already being, already having, already becoming, you're no longer asking life for permission. You're giving it direction. And this is not limited to money or success or relationships. This touches every part of your being. It's how you carry yourself when you wake up in the morning. It's the silence you keep when someone doubts you, because you no longer need to explain yourself. It's the energy that walks ahead of your words. People feel it. Life feels it. And maybe that's the point. Not to chase something outside of you, but to finally sit in the center of yourself and remember. So when you act as if, you're not pretending. You're awakening. You're turning the key from the inside. The moment you act as if you already have everything, something strange begins to happen. Not outside of you, but within. The energy shifts. The way you carry yourself changes. The choices you make are no longer desperate or reactive, but rooted, intentional, and whole. And as this shift takes place within you, the world begins to mirror it back. Not immediately, not always in the ways you expect, but unmistakably something begins to align. We are taught that the external must change first, that the world must give us a reason to feel secure or joyful or abundant, until we become waiting for feelings, dependent on outcomes. But the truth operates in the opposite direction. The external is not the cause, it is the echo. It is not the master, it is the shadow of our inner condition. To wait for things to look different before you feel different is to live in perpetual hesitation. Because the world cannot give you what you are not willing to embody first. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. This is not mystical in the way people might think. It is deeply practical. If you are living from a place of lack, even if your words say abundance, your energy says otherwise. If you say, I am worthy, but you move through life apologetically, hesitantly, waiting for someone else to confirm your value, then the world picks up on the hesitancy, not the affirmation. But when you act as if you already are what you desire to be, when you walk as if the path is already laid out before you, you are no longer seeking alignment. You are becoming. Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding, not hoping, not pretending, but deciding that you are already in possession of the inner wealth you seek. That the love, the freedom, the peace you long for is not a goal, but your starting point. What would you do differently? How would you speak to others? How would you speak to yourself? How would you hold your body? Would you rush? Would you chase? Or would you move with the quiet, steady rhythm of someone who knows that all is already well? This shift is subtle. It happens not through dramatic declarations, but through small, consistent decisions. Choosing to speak from your heart instead of from fear. Choosing to slow down and listen to the stillness within rather than reacting to every external demand. Choosing to say no when something no longer fits the version of yourself that you are now living from, but reflect your inner stance. The reason acting as if is so powerful is because it bypasses the mind's constant need for evidence. The mind wants proof before belief. It says, show me and I'll believe. But that is the language of delay, the language of postponement, the language of powerlessness. The language of true creation says, I believe, and therefore I see. Not in a blind way, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that recognizes the source of reality is within. You are not tricking the universe when you act as if. You are aligning with its laws. You are tuning your inner state to the frequency of the life you desire, and in doing so you make it easier for that life to flow to you. Not because you forced it, but because you became the version of yourself who no longer blocks it. You stopped resisting your own power. You stopped arguing for your limitations. You stopped identifying with lack. Acting as if is not about pretending to be rich while your bank account says otherwise. And it's not about faking a relationship or putting on a spiritual mask. It's about living in integrity with your highest truth. And your highest truth is that you are already enough, that you are already connected, that you are already whole. From that place you begin to create not out of desperation, but out of joy. Not because you need to fix something, but because you are expressing something that is already complete. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to convince anyone. When you act as if you already have everything, the energy does the speaking for you. You begin to radiate confidence. Not a loud, boastful confidence, but a quiet, magnetic presence. You don't demand attention, but you draw it. Not because you are seeking it, but because you are not resisting your own light anymore. People may not be able to articulate it, but they feel it. The world feels it. And it's not just people. It's opportunities. Doors that once felt closed begin to shift. Conversations lead to new pathways. Ideas that once seemed far away begin to land gently in your awareness. You find yourself in the right place at the right time, not because you chased it, but because you aligned with it. You stepped into the current instead of swimming against it. You may not see the outcome right away. The external still takes time to catch up to the internal shift. But in the space between acting it and seeing the evidence, you discover something more precious than the result itself. You discover the joy of embodiment. The joy of living as the person you once only dreamed of becoming. And in that joy, in that state of wholeness, you realize that what you were chasing was never the thing. It was the feeling, the experience, the knowing. And that knowing is available to you. So when you act as if, you are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are no longer seeking truth from the outside world. You have become your own evidence. You have become the mirror you once looked for. The moment you live as if it's already yours, you begin to embody the very energy that creates worlds. And that energy moves through you, not in fits and starts, but in flow. To understand that the self you seek to become already exists within you is to step outside of the illusion of time. You see, we are taught to perceive life as a linear unfolding, where you are here and now, and what you want is somewhere ahead of you, waiting to be earned or discovered. But this is not how reality works. Not really. Reality is not a path, but a field. Every version of you, every possibility, already exists within that field. And the version of yourself who has everything you dream of, peace, joy, abundance, love, is not far away. It is not a distant achievement. It is a vibration already present in your being, waiting to be acknowledged. When you act as if you already are the version of yourself you want to become, you are not faking anything. You are choosing from within the infinite spectrum of your identity. You are saying, I will no longer live according to the story I was handed. I will live from the truth that has always been here, beneath the noise, beneath the fear. This isn't about pretending, it's about awakening. Because pretending is rooted in fear, but awakening is rooted in remembrance. The truth is, you're not becoming something new. You are shedding the layers of conditioning, of limitation, of belief systems that kept you playing small, so that what is already true can be seen more clearly. And you can tune into that version not by waiting for time to pass, but by matching its frequency. How does that version of you feel? How do they speak? How do they move through the world? Not because they have something external, but because they embody something internal. This version of you doesn't wait for permission. They don't need circumstances to be perfect. They don't need everyone to understand. Because they know that clarity is not given, it is claimed.